I'm Shirley O'Brien, and I live in Saddlebrook, Arizona, which is an active retirement community of about 10,000 people. And Jim and I live here. Jim's my husband of 45 years. And we have a little dog by the name of Benson that lives with us. I've had a very good career at the University of Arizona, which was very good to me. Both Jim and I were professors there for 28 years. We focused a lot at that early time on child abuse and child neglect because that was sort of a new field. And I happened to write several books about that. When we retired, we always said that we would leave Tucson when it hit 100 degrees. Well, it got warmer and warmer. And so it was just a natural, once we retired, to plan motorhome trips. And we were also perfecting our accordion duets at that time. And there are a lot of wonderful ethnic festivals in Oregon in the summertime. So that's what we would do. We've always had annual wellness checks, and I had a real surprise in my wellness check about 6 years ago. And I was told that my blood values were lower than they should be, particularly the white cells. So the doctor said, I think when we came back here to Tucson, I think you had better see an oncologist. Well, I knew an oncologist was a physician that specialized in cancer. But of course, that had nothing to do with me because of, I was fine. And so I went to the oncologist and he said, I've looked at your material and I think we need to do a bone marrow biopsy. Well, that caught my interest immediately. What is that? And I went online and I checked it out and I thought, oh, this can't be. I can't believe that this is what's going on. It was about a week later, he had the results, and we went back, and Jim went with me, and he said, I think that I need to tell you this. You have a disease called myelodysplastic syndrome. And we both said, what? What is myelodysplastic syndrome? Couldn't pronounce it, still can't, and couldn't spell it. And we said, well, what does this mean? And he said, well, you need to begin chemo.
We got back home and we started comparing notes. What did doctor say? And Shirley said, well, he said, I'll have some chemo and then I'll be done. And I said, no. He said, you will have chemo for the rest of your life.
And I settled into chemotherapy for 3.5 years. Moffitt Cancer Center definitely looked like a place that we needed to visit. They said, you really need to know that you need a transplant. We flew to Cleveland Clinic and met with the oncologist there. We did seek a second, a third, and a fourth opinion, and all of them had some level of hope, which most of them said really revolved around the bone marrow transplant. We went to Seattle, one of the main transplant centers, and met with the oncologist, and he said, you're still doing well on Vidasa. Keep going, it will fail. And he said, you know what? There are new novel therapies. They're targeted therapies, and they go in your body, and they find a mutation, and they target that mutation. But he said, it's 5 to 10 years off, and what he didn't say is, not in your lifetime. All of the different opinions, the places that we went, and these top-flight, first-class cancer centers, the oncologists themselves that we were favored to meet with were right at the top of the game, and yet they had no real answers. I became a summer patient at the Kootenai County Cancer Center in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And my blood values were really not doing well at all. So I went in one last time to see the oncologist. I didn't have an appointment with him, so he met me in the lobby. And he said, "You know, Shirley, something completely new has come up." He said, "You have a mutation. You have a cell mutation." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" "Well, it means that your cancer is getting much worse." And he said, and he took out his iPhone. He says, "I've got an app for that." He said, "Let me put in the values and let's see what it says." He said, "Oh, Shirley, I'm sorry. You have 4 to 6 months to live." Actually, what's happening here is the chemo is failing. They were refusing to give me any more chemo. So we came back here, and I was pretty desperate because now I had 2 oncologists telling me the same thing. And I said, "Well, can you tell me what kind of help I need?" She says, "You need a clinical trial, and you need it immediately." And a week later, Dr. Courtney DiNardo called me from MD Anderson in Houston. And she said, "I think we have something for you. I think we have a clinical trial." And it was December 23rd, 2015, 1:30 in the afternoon. I took my first 2 pills. I took a selfie because I thought, this is big. And this is hope. And 2 weeks later, I saw Dr. DiNardo at the elevator. And I had just gotten the materials from my most recent blood test. And I said, "I can't believe this. 2 weeks and my absolute neutrophils are higher than they have been in the last 2 years. And she says, "It's working." And I said, "I think so." When I took those first 2 pills that afternoon, I knew that I had done something right. I really felt I was on the way to saving my life. It was a wonderful feeling of relief, of hope, and I wasn't putting all these poisons back in my body like the chemo did. I was like in the motorhome walking the dog, and we were playing our music and carrying on life. It's more than anything that I've ever dreamed that could happen in the depths of when we were at our lowest spot. Agios has saved my life. That's the modern miracle. That's all I can say.